Kamakailan lamang naglabas ng resolusyon ng minorya sa Senado na humihiling na idaan sa korte ang pag-aresto sina Senator Bato de la Rosa at Senator Bongo. Huwag na po tayong maglukuhan. Alam natin lahat kung paano ipagyabang ni Duterte ang pagpatay sa mga pinaghihinalaang adik at kriminal na walang paglilitis. Halos araw-araw nating narinig ang kanyang pag-eengganyo sa kapulisan na pumatay. Sa hearing sa Senado at sa kamarang ito, itinuro niya sina Bato de la Rosa, hindi itinanggi ni Duterte ang mga pangalan nila. Ngayon magdiretsahan po tayo. May mga krimen na sobrang kasuklam-suklam sa sangkatauhan, mga tinatawag na crimes against humanity.
Mr. Speaker, nasa kamay po ni Pangulong Marcos Jr. ang pag-rejoin ng Philippines sa International Criminal Court, sa Rome Statute, alinsunod sa international principles of justice and accountability.
That is correct,
Mr. Speaker, pursuant to our rules, today being a Monday, I move to open the privilege hour.
Is there any objection? The chair hears none. The motion is approved. The privilege hour is now open. Majority Leader.
Mr. Speaker, I move to recognize the lady from the ML party list, the Honorable Laila M. De Lima, to avail of her privilege hour.
The Honorable Laila M. De Lima of the party list ML is recognized. Madam, please proceed.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, distinguished colleagues, I rise today on a matter of personal and collective privilege. I rise today on a matter that cuts to the heart of justice, sovereignty, and our moral standing before the world. The confirmation of charges hearing before the International Criminal Court involving former President Rodrigo Duterte. This is not a moment for triumphalism. It is not a moment for vengeance. It is a watershed moment for reckoning. Let us begin with the facts. For years, during the so-called war on drugs, thousands of Filipinos, overwhelmingly poor, urban, and marginalized, were killed in police operations and vigilante-style executions. Official figures acknowledged more than 6,000 deaths. Independent human rights groups estimate far more. These deaths were not isolated incidents. They were not random acts of rogue officers. They were accompanied by public pronouncements encouraging lethal force. They were marked by patterns. Similar police reports, recurring narratives of nanlaban, and a climate of impunity that emboldened violence. Huwag na po tayong maglukuhan. Alam natin lahat kung paano ipagyabang ni Duterte ang pagpatay sa mga pinaghihinalaang adik at kriminal na walang paglilitis. Halos araw-araw nating narinig ang kanyang pag-eengganyo sa kapulisan na pumatay. Sa hearing sa Senado at sa kamarang ito, itinuro niya sina Bato de la Rosa at iba pang mga dating hepe ng Davao City Police Office na namuno sa kanyang Davao Death Squad. Sa bibig niya mismo nang galing na may sarili siyang death squad na kinabibilangan ng 7 miyembro. Sa harap ng Quadcom, pinangalanan ko isa-isa ang mga miyembrong ito ayon rin sa testimonya ni Edgar Matobato at Arturo Las Cañas. Hindi itinanggi ni Duterte ang mga pangalan nila. Under the International Criminal Court's founding treaty, the Rome Statute, crimes against humanity include murder committed as part of a widespread or systematic attack directed against a civilian population. The ICC prosecutor alleges precisely that the killings were widespread and systematic, and that they were carried out pursuant to or in furtherance of state policy. That is why the former president is facing a confirmation of charges hearing which sets to start today, February 26. Any moment now, that hearing, confirmation of charges, will start. Hindi po ito dahil sa pamumulitika. Hindi rin po ito dahil sa impluwensya ng dayuhan. Nasasakdal po si Rodrigo Duterte dahil may nangyaring paglabag sa international law at kailangan niyang managot kung mapatunayan ang kanyang kasalanan. There are those who argue that the former president's arrest, and I must stress, it was an arrest, not kidnapping. There are those who argue that the former president's arrest should have first gone through Philippine courts, that our judiciary was bypassed. Magkalinawan tayo. Wala pong batas na nagsasabi na ang warrant of arrest ng ICC ay kailangan dumaan sa korte ngayong hindi na miyembro ng ICC ang Pilipinas. Walang batas na nagbibigay ng jurisdiction sa kahit anumang korte sa Pilipinas sa pag-review ng mga warrant ng ICC. Walang batas na nagsasabi ng ICC warrant ay parang extradition request na kailangang dumaan sa korte. Ang meron tayo, isang extradition law na nagsasabi na mga extradition request lamang kailangang dumaan sa korte. Ang meron tayo, Republic Act number 9851 or the Philippine Law on Crimes Against International Humanitarian Law, Genocide and Other Crimes Against Humanity na nagsasabi na kapag may warrant of arrest na inisyo ang isang international court katulad ng ICC, pwede nang isuko kaagad ang pamahalaan ang nakapangalan sa warrant ng ICC. Sa madaling salita po, ang ginawang pakikipagtulungan ng pamahalaan sa ICC na pinadaan sa Interpol ay pagsunod lamang sa batas. At hindi pwedeng palitan ng minorya ng Senado ang ating mga batas na dumaan sa Kamara, buong Senado at sa Pangulo sa pamamagitan ng isang resolusyon lamang. Withdrawal from the Rome Statute did not erase obligations incurred while membership was in effect. Jurisdiction, once properly established, does not vanish at a stroke of a pen. To require an additional layer of domestic judicial review before honoring an ICC warrant, absent any constitutional prohibition, would effectively allow states to shield suspects through procedural delay. The rule of law does not mean multiplying obstacles to accountability. It means respecting binding legal processes, whether domestic or international. May mga nagtatanong, bakit di na lang dito litisin si Rodrigo Duterte? Bakit kailangan sa ICC pa maganap ang paglilitis? Meron po kasing tinatawag na prinsipyo or principle of complementarity. Ibig sabihin, kapag hindi ginagawa ng isang bansa o hindi kaya ng isang bansa na magsagawa ng tapat at makatotohanang investigasyon at paghahatol, saka papasok ang ICC. Ngayon, magdiretsahan po tayo. Noong panahon ng drug war, may nakita ba tayong kapanipaniwalang investigasyon sa mga matataas na opisyal? Nasampahan ba ng kaso ang mga naglatag ng polisiya? Masigasig ba ang mga institusyon sa pagpapanagot sa mga umabuso sa kapangyarihan? Malinaw po ang sagot sa mga tanong na yan. May mga krimen na sobrang kasuklam-suklam sa sangkatauhan, mga tinatawag na crimes against humanity. The few domestic cases that moved forward focused narrowly on specific incidents involving only or often involving low-level officers. There was no comprehensive investigation into command responsibility, no sustained effort to examine whether there was a deliberate, coordinated campaign. When domestic institutions fail to function as guarantors of accountability, whether through fear, political pressure, or structural weakness, the international community has established mechanisms precisely to prevent impunity. The ICC is not an affront to sovereignty. It is an expression to it, or an expression of it. We voluntarily became a party to the Rome Statute. We bound ourselves to a system that says if we cannot or will not prosecute grave international crimes, the world will not stand idle. Sa international law, ang Rome Statute at ang ICC ang napagkasunduan ng higit sa 100 miyembro ng UN na tatayong korte para sa mga kasuklam-suklam na mga krimeng ito. Ang pagpatay sa libo-libong tao nang walang paglilitis gamit ang kapangyarihan ng Estado ay isa sa mga kasuklam-suklam na krimen na nasasakop ng jurisdiction ng ICC. Dahil sa krimeng ito, kaya inaresto at ngayon ay nasasakdal si Duterte. Nauna ang ICC sa pag-imbestiga kay Duterte. Ayon sa RA 9851, kapag nauna ang ICC, pwedeng ipagliban na ang pag-usig sa kanya sa Pilipinas at hayaan na lamang na magpatuloy ang ICC. Ito ang nangyari sa kaso ni Duterte na hindi lamang sang-ayon sa Rome Statute, kundi pati na rin sa ilalim ng sarili nating batas. To insist now that everything must be tried domestically, when years have passed without genuine accountability at the highest levels, is to ignore the very safeguards embedded in international law. Finally, let us confront an uncomfortable truth. While the ICC moves to examine the alleged masterminds of the drug war, what has happened to the thousands of cases involving low-level enforcers? Where are the systematic prosecutions of police officers implicated in suspicious operations? Where are the command investigations within the chain of command? Where are the administrative and criminal sanctions in cases with glaring inconsistencies? The present administration has spoken of recalibrating policy. It has spoken of reviewing cases. But review without prosecution is not justice. Recalibration without accountability is not reform. If we truly believed that the Philippines is capable of handling these cases domestically, we would see vigorous, transparent prosecutions, not only of those at the top, but also of those who pulled the trigger and those who falsified reports. The tragedy is this. While international prosecutors prepare to argue that crimes against humanity were committed, many families of victims here at home are still waiting for accountability in the killing of their loved ones. As far as we know, there have been only few investigations and prosecutions here, and only 5 convictions involving only low-level perpetrators. Hindi pa nga natin alam ano nang nangyayari sa mga kaunting investigasyon sa mga drug war killings dito sa atin. Justice delayed domestically becomes justice outsourced internationally. Dear colleagues, this is not about personalities, it is about principle. If we believe that no one is above the law, then we must accept that even a former president may stand before an international tribunal. If we believe in sovereignty, we must also believe in the rule of law commitments we freely undertook. If we believe in justice for the poor, we must ensure that their deaths are not reduced to statistics, nor their families silenced by fear. The confirmation of charges hearing at the International Criminal Court, which may be happening at this very moment now, is only a procedural step. It is not yet a conviction. It is not yet a verdict. It is the beginning of a formal process where evidence will be tested and rights will be protected. Let the process unfold. Let evidence be presented. Let the truth, wherever it leads, to be established in the ICC as an international court of law. For too long, the drug war was framed as a battle between order and chaos. But the real divide has always been between impunity and accountability. Today, we must choose. I stand for accountability. I stand for the rule of law. And above all, I stand for the Filipino people, especially the voiceless, the powerless, and the grieving, who deserve nothing less than justice. Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker.
Mr. Speaker, I move to recognize the lady from the Kabataan Party List, the Honorable Rene Co, for her interpellation.
The Honorable Rene Co is recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, is the sponsor of the speech available to answer some questions in relation to the topic of her speech?
It would be my pleasure, Mr. Speaker.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, we know that despite the fact that the coverage of crimes that is charged by against President Duterte na nakaharap ngayon sa ICC ay nasa period na nasa loob pa ng Rome Statute ang Pilipinas, the unfortunate reality ay pinwersa ni President Duterte na umalis na ang Pilipinas sa Rome Statute so that matanggal, in an attempt na matanggal yung mga naging presidential orders niya from the jurisdiction of the ICC. So I'd like to ask Mr. Speaker, what are the thoughts of my distinguished colleagues sa pagsasali muli ng Pilipinas sa International Criminal Court, no, at ratify muli ng Rome Statute sa jurisdiction na ito?
Okay, hindi po ibig sabihin dahil nag-withdraw na. At yung withdrawal ay ginawa mismo ni President ng dating Pangulo Rodrigo Duterte. Hindi po ibig sabihin, hindi na po siya masasakdal, hindi na po siya maiimbestigahan at masasakdal. Dahil nga po malinaw din sa Rome Statute that the withdrawal of a state party does not absolve the state party also from its obligations incurred during the time or during the period where we were still a state party. And that means from 2011, nung na-ratify po ng Senado yung Rome Statute, and 2019, when the withdrawal from the Rome Statute became effective. And that was in 2019. And there was also a Supreme Court ruling from our very own Supreme Court in the case of Pangilinan et al. Versus Cayetano et al. Na kahit nga po nag-withdraw na, hindi ibig sabihin ay wala nang pakialam ang ICC. Dahil nga po, meron tayong mga obligasyon na hindi natin pwedeng basta-basta na lang talikuran nung panahon na naganap yung mga alleged crimes against humanity being attributed to the former president. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
At Mr. Speaker, so to clarify, ano po ang pagtingin ng distinguished colleague natin sa pag-rejoin natin sa Rome Statute?
I'm all for it. This representation, I'm all for it. I've been calling for the Philippine government, the current administration, to consider rejoining the ICC because it's the only international mechanism of accountability that can be relied upon or depended upon if domestic mechanisms of accountability fail or if the state refuses or unwilling or unable to genuinely investigate the crimes that are under the jurisdiction of the ICC, and that includes crimes against humanity. Paano po kung in the future there will be again another tyrant that will rule our country, and ganun na naman, gumawa na naman ng mga kasuklam-suklam na mga krimen covered by that, crimes against international humanitarian law, genocide, and other crimes against humanity, na katulad nung drug war killings, naklarado po that this was systematic pursuant to a state policy. Ganun na naman ho ba tayo? Baka na, kasi you know, when most of the cases that fall or that are brought to the ICC are those involving powerful figures, including heads of state. And ordinarily, the domestic mechanisms of accountability become deficient. And sabi ko nga, kailangan mo natin mag-rejoin sa ICC. It does not only improve our very own standing in the international community, that we do respect international law, that we do respect jurisdiction of international bodies with competent jurisdiction, ay pinapakita po natin na hindi po tayo takot na makipag-coordinate uli sa ICC as an international tribunal if a similar situation happens in the future. Thank
Mr.
you. So
Speaker.
I strongly call for the government to consider rejoining ICC or the Rome Statute.
A final question, Mr. Speaker. Given that our distinguished colleague is a legal luminary and used to be a member of the Senate of the Philippines, which has the duty to ratify international treaties that the government enters into, ano po ba ang unang step para po mag-rejoin ang Philippines sa Rome Statute?
Unang-una po, syempre, ay dapat sa executive yan with the DFA. The executive has to make a decision whether or not to rejoin. And then the decision of the president or the executive will be submitted to the Senate for ratification. Para yung una rin na pag-ratify natin ng Rome Statute nung 2011, ay ganun din po ang proseso na dapat gawin sa atin. Thank you.
So, It means, Mr. Speaker, nasa kamay po ni Pangulong Marcos Jr. ang pag-rejoin ng Philippines sa International Criminal Court, sa Rome Statute, alinsunod no, sa international principles of justice and accountability.
That is correct, Mr. Speaker. The initiative is on the part of the Chief Executive as the architect, the chief architect of foreign policy, and with respect also to international relations, with the assistance, of course, and the advice of the Department of Foreign Affairs. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Mr. Speaker, thank you very much. We'd like to echo the sentiments of our distinguished colleague and of course open on the floor that actually today this representation alongside members of the Makabayan Bloc filed House Resolution number 809 expressing the sense that the government of the Philippines consider rejoining the Rome Statute so that we are again under the jurisdiction of the International Criminal Court. And again, nasa bola po ito ng ating Pangulo ngayon, si Marcos Jr. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Thank you, distinguished colleague.
Thank you, Honorable Ko. Majority Leader.
Mr. Speaker, I move to refer the speech of the Honorable De Lima as well as the interpellations to the Committee on Rules for its appropriate action.
Is there any objection? The chair hears none. The motion is approved. The speech of Honorable Laila De Lima as well as the interpellation of the Honorable Ko is referred to the Committee on Rules for appropriate action. Majority Leader.